Already, the 2016 spotlight has shifted to the next two major campaign battlegrounds, New York and Pennsylvania. Ted Cruz, fresh off his win in Wisconsin's Republican primary, paid a visit today to the Big Apple. There, he was forced to defend his criticism earlier in this campaign of frontrunner Donald Trump's what he called New York values. Cruz pointed to what one Hispanic pastor told him today about what's wrong about New York politics and the values that drive them.
We fight them every day in our community. We fight them. They're the values that led, for example, Mayor Bill de Blasio. Liberal Democrat, upon getting elected mayor, one of the first things he did was to try to shut down charter schools in Harlem because he is captive to the union bosses who control him. So one of his first actions was to try to throw young African American and Hispanic kids out of the schools that were giving them hope and giving them a lifeline. Those are the values. It's the values of the liberal Democratic politicians that have been hammering the people of New York for a long time.
Donald Trump, for his part, has a rally scheduled this evening in Long Island, while Ohio Governor John Kasich was off the trail today. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders is moving on to Pennsylvania with his Wisconsin win last night under his belt. But the Democratic front runner once again took aim at Sanders' ability to turn his rhetoric into reality. Here's what Hillary Clinton said today at an AFL-CIO convention in Philadelphia.
I am concerned that some of his ideas just won't work because the numbers don't add up. Others won't even pass Congress, or they rely on Republican governors suddenly having a conversion experience and becoming progressives. Well, in a number of important areas, he doesn't have a plan at all.
To dig into last night's results in Wisconsin and perhaps tell us what it could mean for the road ahead, we're joined by Ron Brownstein, who writes for The Atlantic and National Journal, specializing in the demographics of the nation's politics, and Dante Chinny. He's director of the American Communities Project. And we welcome you both to the program.
Thank you.
Good to see you. So let's talk about a little bit about breaking down that vote yesterday, Ron, in Wisconsin. What did you see from what voters did, how they voted, that tells us anything about what's happening this
The
year?
short version, Judy, is that it reconfirmed the patterns we've seen in the Democratic side, and it broke the patterns we've seen on the Republican side. On the Democratic side, we saw Bernie Sanders strong, where he has been strong, dominant among young people, and surprisingly competitive among working-class white voters in the Midwest. He's now won them in every state except for Ohio, where the two of them ran even. So he has shown that he can continue to be very strong in states that are predominantly white and where the share of vote cast by Democrats is lower. Hillary Clinton maintained her strength among African-American voters, which is critical going into the big, diverse battlegrounds to come, New York, Pennsylvania, California, New Jersey. On the Republican side, the patterns broke substantially. Ted Cruz did better among voters, particularly those who are not evangelicals, than he's done before. The question will be whether that was a one-time anomaly or that's a new pattern in the race.
What do you see, Dante, when you look at Wisconsin?
Well, the one thing that struck me on the Republican side in particular was it really did seem that we've been waiting for a long time to see who this establishment candidate was going to be on the Republican side. We had Marco Rubio, he went away. We had some earlier folks. We had Jeb Bush. We even had Scott Walker. And it really did look like last night, it looked like the establishment said, okay, we're going all in on Ted Cruz. We're going, which is remarkable. I mean, to say that a year ago that Ted Cruz has become the candidate of the establishment, but that honestly
It's
what it looks
2
like.
a.m. and closing time at the bar.
Exactly.
The Republican establishment
Time to
is
go.
ending up with
Time to
Ted
go home.
Cruz. Yeah.
But that you're looking at a lot of
Yeah.
endorsements, and you're right, it
Right.
does. At this point, it looks like that's
Right.
where they're coalescing.